everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Rising After Ashes. Today's episode is going to be a little bit different. Um, Obviously, we're not out on a hike right now, actually, waiting for some new camera equipment and the weather to cooperate. We're in the middle of a lake effect snow advisory here in Western New York, so I'm going to put the hiking part of the show on the shelf for a little bit, and I'm going to take this opportunity to talk about some things that have been weighing heavily on my mind lately. And the one thing that I've been dealing with and dealing with very deeply is betrayal trauma. I won't go into too much detail, but I will tell you that I have been cheated on in the past, my past relationships, and I've been lied to and betrayed very deeply by people that I trusted and people that I loved very deeply. And I feel like the opportunity is right for me to talk about it, um, because I've been navigating the healing process for that. And that's kind of where the outdoors and enjoying getting outside and, earthing and grounding and hiking and, biking, all of those things have helped me get through it. And I hope that my adventures, my openness, and my willing to share my story, I hope that helps somebody. I was with my ex-wife for almost 10 years. And one day things got bad. I really didn't know what was going on. I was very ill at the time. I have a chronic illness. And I came home from work and my wife was gone. And I didn't realize it at the time. I had to find out a very difficult way that she was unfaithful in our relationship. And it threw my whole world for a loop. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know who I was. I didn't know who she was. I didn't know what the hell I did for the last 10 years of my life before that. And it really hurt. And obviously, it was difficult to go through the divorce process. And luckily, we didn't have any kids or anything like that. There wasn't any property. So it was fairly easy. But for me, it was very difficult because I take my promises, I take those vows, I took them very seriously. So it was difficult on me. And going through my world being turned upside down obviously was not fun. Um, at about the same time, at this point in my life, I also dealt with a family member and some friends and a coworker betray me as well. And I quickly realized that who I thought I was and who I thought the people around me were not the people I thought. It was not true. It felt like everything that I knew was a lie, even though I wasn't the one telling these lies or backstabbing or betraying. And it took me a while, a long while. Actually, I shouldn't even say that. I'm still dealing with it. I'm still struggling with it, but I'm a lot better than I was. And I think it's important when you're dealing with something like that to really recognize that you're actually processing it and moving through it, even though it feels like not much is going on. So definitely don't try to rush your healing. Baby steps forward, I know they feel so small and so like inadequate, but those baby steps forward are still progress forward. And you have to stop at certain times, even though it's hard, and even though you want to heal, and even though you want to move on and welcome those new relationships or friendships or whatever it may be in your life after betrayal. It's just so important to really get yourself to a good place and recognize how far you've come before you dive in. Because if you dive in too early or you try to rush your healing, you'll soon find out that you'll start to sabotage or ruin anything new that comes towards you. You'll block it off because you're afraid of getting hurt again. And I still struggle with that myself too. It's really easy to blame yourself for all these things, but typically when you're dealing with somebody, especially who is unfaithful, infidelity in a close, intimate relationship, a lot of the times it's not you, it's that person's trauma that caused them to do what they did. And I'm not saying that's an excuse for them and their actions, because they're totally responsible for their actions. But I'm saying that because it's not your fault. And I know it's so difficult to sit there and blame yourself, but that's the worst thing that you could do. You have to realize that a lot of people in this world today are acting out through pain and trauma that they've suffered in their life, whether it is an adulthood or childhood. Childhood is I feel, a bigger reason for people's ways of doing things. But really it's the resistance for them to actually see or want to turn back and deal with those things, because in order to really heal yourself, you've got to face those things head on, and you have to dive in head first and realize that you can fix those things within you, but it takes a lot of work and it takes a lot of looking back into things that might be painful. They might be reminders of those things that happened to you, but it's important to really look at those things and work on them and work through them. And there's a lot of people who say, well, don't live in the past and try to move on from the past. But I think in modern day life, I think we move on from situations too quickly because, hey, if they're painful, I don't want to deal with it. I just want to move on to the next thing. And we live in such a fast-paced society that it's hard to kind of always sit with yourself and deal with those emotions at the time. I mean, there's so many other things going on, but I really feel it's important to try to work through things as they come up, as they happen. And if it takes a little longer to process things or whatever, it's just the way it should be. You can allow yourself to slow down and heal so that you can be a better person for the next stage of your life. Not just for today or this week, but for the next years. So if you have to take 6, 8 months, a year to work on yourself to become a better person to move forward, I would much rather see someone do that, or I would much rather suggest that than have somebody push those emotions and those things down for 25, 30 years. And then you're dealing with this stuff when you're 60, 70 years old and it's too late. But to get back on track, I just want to let anybody know who's watched this video this far. I want to let you know that when it comes to betrayal, it doesn't matter whether you're a man or a woman. We all process those emotions in a similar way. Not everybody feels things in the same way, but we process them in a similar way. And it's okay. It is 100% okay to deal with it how you're dealing with it. Some may think that you're crazy, some may think that you're overreacting, but a sensitive thing like that, you have to deal with it the way that you can. And no matter what steps you take, as long as they're not destructive. I do not suggest turning to drugs or alcohol or things that are not good for you, but taking time for yourself, sometimes isolating, but not to the point where you isolate to the point where you just avoid people. That's not good, because it's always helpful to ask for help. It's always acceptable to ask for help. But sometimes we need to isolate and go within to help fix those things. And that's okay too, as long as you know that if you need help, you should ask for help. But there is no timeline for healing. Healing is not, I know it's, I'm sure everybody's heard of this, but healing is not a linear thing. It's not a straight line. There's ups and downs, there's hills and valleys, there's setbacks, there's achievements. I mean, if you kind of look at taking a road trip, there's never just a straight road, a straight point to A and B. There's hills, there's valleys, there's twists and turns. And it's those twists and turns where you learn about yourself, you learn about how other people move and how they react and how they treat you. And you learn for your next relationships, your next friendships, whatever it may be, you're in your family dynamics. You learn new things that help you in your future connections. And I feel like that's the important lesson. And if you're willing to really go within and learn that the lessons are important, not just the journey right now. The ending of the journey is important, but the lessons on that journey, on that quest, are more important than anything else. And it will make you a better person if you can try and take that time to realize that and heal from the things that you've been through. Now, there's a lot more to my story. That's just the start, but I wanted to kind of make this video and just start to tell the people that watch this what has gone on in my life and why I am doing the things that I do, why I enjoy hiking and biking and kayaking, and how I use those activities to help me move through my healing process, which I'll get more into in the future. But if you're watching this video, again, I will say to you, you're not alone. Your pain is real and it's valid, and your feelings are too. And whatever you're going through, just know that if you stick with it, stick with your healing and do it for you and you alone, you will come out the other side a brand new person, a better person, and there's no stopping you. And that's what Rising After Ashes is all about. Burning to the ground, rebuilding yourself, and rising from those ashes, rebuilt, resilient, and a better person. And that's where we all are. That's what our goal is. So thank you for watching. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. I would surely appreciate it. And we'll be back with another episode of Rising After Ashes soon. Take care, and I'm always here for each and every one of you. Don't be afraid to reach out. Have a wonderful day.